Good morning. Today, I'm in a 1991 Mazda Miata. So let's go over some general specs about the 91 Miata. This is a two-seater, two-door, always convertible roadster out of Japan. It has a 1.6 inline-4. It's rear-wheel drive, has a 5-speed manual transmission, weighs just over 2,000 pounds, and gets about 22 to 24 miles per gallon. So why are we talking about a 1991 Mazda Miata? Well, really, it's because this is the greatest selling sports car of all time. So if we actually look at the numbers, it's not the greatest selling sports car of all time because the Chevy Corvette has sold more units than the Mazda Miata. However, the Corvette has been for sale for 72 years, while the Miata has only been around for the last 30 plus so years. So let's take a look at the inside of the Mazda Miata. Well, it's very simple. There's two seats, they're made of cloth, they're not very aggressively bolstered. The dash is very minimal. You have a couple of controls for radio, climate control, and then your lights. A couple of vents, not many speakers. There's really not much going on here because this is 100% a driver-oriented car. This particular Miata that I'm in belongs to my friend Allie. Go follow her page, it'll be somewhere on the screen right now. And it has a few modifications to it. So this is not a stock Miata. It's got coilovers, wheels, tires, headers, an intake, aftermarket steering wheel, aftermarket shifter, shift knob, all that kind of stuff. It has a couple of subtle modifications that don't completely change the characteristics of the car. Now, it's pretty hard to find a bone stock Miata, although they're out there for egregious prices. And there's a good reason for that, because these cars come alive with modifications really well. Pretty much every Miata you'll find on Facebook Marketplace is gonna have coilovers and an exhaust, because it just livens the car up really well. Now, don't get me wrong, these cars are amazing stock, but just a couple of little adjustments and they are a dream to drive. So speaking of driving, let's get going in the 1991 Mazda Miata. Okay, so here we are in the driver's seat of the Mazda Miata. It's not very roomy. It's really made for shorter people. I am 5'4", 130 pounds, and I fit perfectly in a Miata. I have loads of headroom. I know there are lots of people around 6 foot that can also fit in Miatas. The hardtops help. Yeah, they're not the easiest car to fit into, so keep that in mind. All right, so here we are in the 91 Miata. Let's get going. Lots of noise in the cabin. If you can't hear it, there's lots of noises happening. So contrary to popular belief, I actually own a Miata myself. This is not my Miata, obviously. My Miata has been down for the past 3 years. Actually, almost exactly 3 years my Miata's been down. I blew the engine at a track day at Lime Rock. Always make sure you have oil between your runs. But other than that, these cars are profusely known for being very reliable sports cars. Now, the trade-off for their reliability is being slow as shit. Now, let me show you what I mean when I say they're slow. Revs up real fast. I'm foot down. We're not going anywhere. We're not speeding. We can't even go past 60 miles an hour with the foot down in third gear. So why do people find these cars so fun? Well, the answer is in the handling. It is literally a street legal go-kart. This is one of the most fun handling cars, maybe the greatest handling car I've ever driven in my life. Nothing compares to the experience and the feeling that you get from driving a Miata. And it sounds so stupid. People hate on these cars because they're, hairdressers' cars, they're girls' cars or whatever, but you really have to drive one and really go balls to the wall in a Miata to get the feeling that it's supposed to invoke. Miatas bring out good drivers. Anybody can get in a Miata and obviously floor it because it's super slow, but it takes a very good driver to actually get this car to go fast because it's a momentum car. You can't go and hit the brakes and then go and hit the brakes around these corners. You have to keep the momentum. You have to have the guts to throw it into these corners with the confidence knowing it's not gonna slide out or flip or spin or whatever. All right, let's see what this Miata can do. It's peppy. And I feel like I'm glued to the floor. I feel like I don't even have to worry if this car is gonna grip up. It's on the ground and it's there to stay. So while we're behind this slow car, let's talk about it a little bit, right? Very rattly car. I feel like there's a lot of things on these Miatas that kind of come loose or get loose over the years, and everything just rattles, no matter what it is. So Miatas have so many things in common with each other, but the one thing that I find that every Miata has different is the way it feels to drive. I've never driven a Miata that felt exactly the same as another Miata. They all have their own personality and their own characteristic. Just a little go-kart. I have no worry if I'm gonna slip out or spin or whatever. Like, it's just planted, absolutely planted to the ground. Its short wheelbase makes it so fun to just toss into corners, and you really feel the way the nose of this car dives in as soon as you turn. You can literally see it with your eyes, the nose diving in first. And I literally can't speed because it's like impossible. Yeah. See, this is where it's fun, is when you can just rip in these corners at 45, 50 miles an hour when other cars have to brake and slow down and then glide through it and then accelerate out. You accelerate through the whole corner. And that's like the most fun part about a Miata. And that's why it's so captivating, because there's really not many other cars that capture the same feeling as this. Not to mention, you can do so many things with these cars. You can swap any engine into these, put an LS in it, put a 350, a 305, whatever the hell you want to put in it, SR20, K-swap. There's so many of these chassis lying around, and most of them run, but hell, swap it if you want to, right? And you can do any motorsport. I've seen people make off-road Miatas, rally Miatas, drag strip Miatas, drift Miatas, autocross and track Miatas. They do everything. There's a reason they say Miata is always the answer, because it is. It's perky. It's definitely perky. Keeping it in those high RPMs, it loves to rev out. Loves being in those high RPMs. But I'm going nowhere. It's so slow. But it's so good at the same time. Like, you'd never believe such a slow car is so fun. They don't sound the best, but I've heard some pretty decent sounding Miatas. The shifter feels great. It really goes right into gear. It wants you to drive fast. I don't even know if I can pass this Mr. Pipe guy. I'm full out. Foot to the floor. Come on, Miata! You can do it! All right, we passed normal traffic. But this is even just a comfortable car to just cruise in. If you didn't want a track Miata or a fully built stance Miata or something, you could just get a stock one, put some nice wheels on it, and call it a day. And it's super nice to just daily drive and commute and just cruise in. On top of being such a fun car to drive, they're also just so freaking cute. Have you seen the face on them? They're always smiling. And it's hard to not smile back when you see a Miata on the road. It's kind of a contagious look. And they're just so dang easy to drive. I actually learned how to drive stick shift like 10 years ago in a Miata. And that Miata has taught like 8 people how to drive stick, and it still has the original clutch. In conclusion, this is one of my favorite cars to drive, to own, anything like that. I don't see myself ever selling my Miata, and I just think that everyone should own one, honestly. It's such a great, cheap, fun sports car you can do anything with. The quality of the interior is so-so. There are replacement parts online. You're not buying this car for the luxury or the quality of the insides. Yeah, it's gonna be a little bit ratty. It's gonna be a little bit meh. You're gonna have some stuff break and some rattles here and there, but it's an old 90s Miata. They made so many of them. If you really had to be a perfectionist, you could find all the parts to make it not rattly and to make it luxurious and to put sound deadening in the car. You can do all that, absolutely. There's so many sites, parts, aftermarket availability for this car that you can do anything you put your mind to. And like, it's honestly the best foundation for pretty much anything you want. If you don't know what you want to do, like, look, when you go to college, when you don't have a major, you do liberal arts, right? Like, you do your gen eds. This is like the gen eds of cars. You do them, and you can go anywhere with that. Like, you can take this car, if you don't know what you want to do with your car yet, street car, show, stance, rally, off-road, autocross, track, drift, whatever. If you don't know what you want to do, but you want to buy a car and get into cars, I think this is maybe the best car to do that with. Yeah, you could do like a Honda Civic or something, but really, sports cars are rear-wheel drive. They're not front-wheel drive, they're not all-wheel drive, they're rear-wheel drive. Anyway, guys, should you buy a Miata? The answer is absolutely 100% yes, 200% yes. Go out, buy a Miata. I don't care if it's $2,000. I don't care if it's $10,000. Get in it, get excited, drive these cars, keep them alive because they deserve to live on forever. And I hope Mazda never discontinues them. And I probably just jinxed it right there, but such an amazing car to drive. One of my absolute favorites of all time. Let me know, would you buy a Mazda Miata? Would you buy this Mazda Miata? I know this has some weird quirks to it, some modifications, but how would you modify your Miata? Like, what motorsport do you think a Miata belongs in the most? Personally, I think it's autocross. I think these are the greatest number one, absolute, no doubt, greatest autocross cars that were ever made. Guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I'm on the road to 1,000 subscribers right now. I think we're just about up to 400, so I would super appreciate a like and a subscribe. I make probably about a video a week. I try to. Sometimes it's every other week. I get busy, but yeah, I've been doing car reviews, vlogs. I've been drifting. So let me know what you guys want to see, what cars you want to see me review. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys have a great night. Peace.